Let me ask you, but you mentioned about Howard Schultz. Is there any, I know you guys have roots in Washington.
Sure.
And I know most of your work is at the corporate level or the institutional level. Do you do any tracking of political, do you do any political tracking anymore? Especially with 2020, are you being asked to do that?
Well, again, what I love most about my job is that we have the license to test anything and everything. So each day we're asking Americans what they think of every single senator, every governor, every member of Congress. In fact, one time I had a flight delayed at DCA, and I walk up, there's a senator, I'm not going to name his name, I walk up to him, and of course I am Kyle from Morning Consult, and he looks at me and he's got our printed senator rankings on his lap. He said, why am I a 41? Which was the approval rating that he had in his state. And so if you want to think of a way to get the attention of office holders, you should track them. Historically, we've seen Republican governors in blue states tend to be popular, like Hogan in Maryland and Charlie Baker in Massachusetts. But yeah, and then we work with hundreds of trade groups, usually either with the CEOs or the public affairs. They want to know, is my policy popular or not, and how do I message it to regulators, elites, other audiences, which is quite different from, say, marketers who are mainly talking to customers,
right.
Regular users. How do you link that to, say, product to sales? So, two different worlds, even though we're, just a 2 hour, 45-minute train ride apart.
Right, I was going to say, I guess my question is, do you see anything in Washington that makes you feel that there's any hope that some of this self-servingness, if you will, is turned around? Because that senator's worried about his approval rating. He's worried about his approval rating because he wants to get reelected, not necessarily because he's had to make some hard decisions that have been unpopular, I'm assuming.
Yes and no. So just as data is easier and easier to collect, there are fewer entities that are doing the sort of data collection that we're doing. Local newspapers don't have budgets to run local polls anymore. So in some cases, we're the only name of the game that, interviewing people in Wyoming, or tens of thousands of people in Wisconsin, or hundreds of thousands in Florida. So, having that data outside of the election cycle to him, was quite valuable. The whole reason that we're talking here, we started in DC and we mainly worked with that group. And the heads of public affairs, they just started introducing us to comms when politics and brand collided. And that was our sweet sauce, or our angle. And now it's more.
And by the way, that's a great similarity between your business and our business, because we get called in a lot.
Yeah.
When the house is on fire.
Sure.
When there's an issue that is making the company reconsider whether or not it has the right kind of policy or communications leadership, or whether it needs to change that leadership out, because a lot of times it's under two circumstances, which is a legacy brand that's trying to hit the refresh button, or a brand new CCO that's looking for their voice, where they would not only want the kind of talent that we're going to find for them, but also the kind of insights that you get.
Yeah, I think on the scale from the worst crisis in the world to calm waters, I think if it's the worst crisis in the world, it's really hard to work with anybody, because nobody knows if they're going to be employed tomorrow.
Sure, right.
Budgets are falling apart. The whole C-level gone. You pull the rug out.
That's true.
Now, negative events and such, that I would imagine is probably how a lot of people come in and start. But you can't be a successful, big, growing company with renewal rates and lots of revenue if you don't add value outside of those tough moments.
That's a good point. Well, thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.